Picture the earliest days of your life. You could create without trying. You drew, invented, imagined, freely, endlessly, without a single lesson in how. No one taught you to be creative. You simply were. So why did it get harder? Why does the blank page feel heavier now than it ever did then? Why did Picasso, who could paint like a master as a teenager, spend the rest of his life trying to paint like a child again? And why did Steve Jobs, one of the most powerful men of his age, live almost like a monk? An empty house with barely any furniture, sitting on the floor, eating the same plain food, stripping his life down to almost nothing. These point to a lie society has told you your whole life. You were told creativity comes from the outside, from more education, consuming more content, more of other people's ideas poured in, that if you consume enough, learn enough, absorb enough, the brilliance will follow. But you've done that, and the harder you tried, the further it slipped, because creativity never came from the outside. The external knowledge, examples, all the solutions society gave you only generated noise, pushing you further from creativity and brilliance. There is an image at the heart of Zen that says it better than any instruction. The mind is like the surface of water, agitated, stirred by wanting, by worry, by the endless chase. It reflects nothing clearly. Everything is broken, rippled, distorted. But when the water goes still, it becomes a perfect mirror. It shows things exactly as they are. A racing mind cannot see clearly, not the world, not even what it truly wants to create. A still mind sees everything. That is the whole secret of focus and of creativity in a single image. Clarity is not something you produce. It is what appears when the disturbance stops. Understand what you are working with. The human brain is the most sophisticated system that exists, a power beyond imagination, and it came to you already complete. It does not need to be filled. It does not need to be taught what to want. You do not unlock it by consuming more, or by absorbing more of other people's thoughts. You unlock it by shutting out the noise, by giving it room to observe, to think for itself, to rest. The potential was never missing, it was only buried. One of the most creative men of the modern age built his life's work on this ancient teaching. Before we go on, let's practice by saying these 3 words to yourself. Still the water. Feel free to drop these 3 words in the comments section. Let this be the first step in the lifelong battle of claiming back your inner peace. Come back to Steve Jobs and that empty house, that stripped down life. In 1974, long before all the great creation, a restless 19-year-old flew to India, searching for an answer the West hadn't given him. He came home with a book he would read for the rest of his life, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and a practice he never let go of. But hold on to this before we go further. It did not work because he was Steve Jobs. He was nobody yet. No company, no fortune, just the same unquiet mind we started with. What he found doesn't belong to geniuses. It belongs to anyone who has the determination to achieve great things. He found his clarity, and it pointed him toward his gift. Yours will point somewhere else entirely, because it was always meant to be yours, not anyone else's. For nearly 30 years he practiced Zen. He sat, he meditated. He spent weeks at a monastery doing the strangest thing a driven man could do, facing a wall, watching his own mind go quiet. Here is the part that shouldn't make sense. The busier and more influential he became, the more time he spent doing nothing at all. The man building the future kept stopping to sit in silence. Why would someone that ambitious waste his time watching his own mind? Because he'd learnt that the clarity he chased in the world could only come from stilling the water within. A teacher who studied him said it plainly. Jobs didn't rely on market research to know what to build. Through stillness, he went inside, saw clearly what he truly wanted, then built exactly that. That was the source of the famous simplicity. Stripping away the unnecessary wasn't a business strategy. It was the still mind applied to everything he touched. Clear water, reflecting what mattered and nothing else. Near the end of his life, he tried to pass the whole secret on in a single line. He told a room of graduates, "Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." Listen to the word he chose, noise. The same noise we started with, the static of a mind that won't go quiet. His entire message came down to this: beneath the noise, an inner voice already knows. You don't invent it, or force it, or chase it. You make the water still enough to hear it. The Buddhists understood this 2,500 years before we had the words for it. They taught that grasping is the root of suffering. It is also the root of blindness. The tighter the mind clutches at what it wants, the less clearly it sees. You have felt this. The idea arrives in the shower, on a walk, in the half second before sleep, rarely at the desk where you strained for it. So insight does not come from gripping harder. It comes from letting go. The Buddhists called the open, unforced mind the beginner's mind. The same words on the cover of the book that changed Job's life. In the beginner's mind, they said, there are endless possibilities. In the grasping mind, there are few. Creativity is not a mind working harder. It is a mind that has stopped grasping, quiet enough, empty enough, for something new to arise. Science only recently caught up and gave the quiet a name. The meditators were already living there. Clarity and creativity were never things you add. They surface on their own, the moment you loosen your grip and the water goes still. So come back to that restless mind we started with. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to become anyone other than who you are. You only have to loosen your grip and let it clear on its own. So let this question sit unanswered. If you stilled the water, even for a moment, what would you finally see? If you found this message helpful, subscribe and join us in the journey to discover inner peace. I'll see you on the next one.